I know that hitting Bob doesn't give you ultimate charge, but does it give you hero damage?
I don't think so. I wouldn't have thought so because it's like hero damage, right? I haven't actually checked. I'm not gonna lie. I don't hit Bob that much.
If you could hook him down the well, you'd get like 1200 hero damage incredibly quickly. But speaking of heroes, we are going to see both of our teams roll out on the 3-3, but a crucial difference is that Square One are opting to put Ultraviolet on the Moira, and this is a consistent theme we've seen from them. They like to come out on the Moira first in case they're up against some DPS. Meanwhile, Pizza Demon, he's going to be coming in on the Zen.
Yeah, but problem is, Harry, elongated fights. That Zenyatta's going to chew through the shields and chew through the tank HP as well. Jolf's going to have to be a little bit careful. It's not Yolf, Jolf, to make you aware. Europeans say it a little bit differently, and that's what we're used to casting, of course. Doesn't like the point is going to unlock, however, both teams are contesting it for the time being. A lot of swinging around from Hypnot. Already 71% ult charge as they find the first couple of kills, and Carter, Ultima Wep, is going to find 2 as well. Hot Date going to try and reset himself. Same with Dub. He actually gets spooked in the end. Point Cap first up for Bermuda.
And I feel like Square One played that wrong with the Moira, like moving on to a point and like trying to beat Bermuda by attrition and forcing Bermuda to come into you and the Zen can be at a safe range. I think there definitely wasn't a play. You want to be able to leverage more healing up Moira. It gives you just sort of dogpile onto someone.
What a shatter. Counter shatter though coming through. However, Dolph is going to find at least 1 kill. Hypnot is going to get taken down. There's the Graviton Surge as well as the self-destruct on the side. Everybody's caught in. Dove only just managing to save himself as the tick damage from Carter's grab did end up killing Big Al off. Bermuda are going to come out on top for that. No Baby Diva and Zen can actually solo a 3-man team. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. 35% on the board now for Bermuda.
Considering the 2 ultimate investment that was made by Square One, Bermuda had to work really hard to make that fight work. They had to put in all 3 of their tank ultimates and a sound barrier as well. So now they didn't really have too much to deal with the Graviton Diva Bomb combo. Pizza Demon's got his Transcendence that often doesn't do much against the burst damage given by a self-destruct.
Does not a whole lot of damage. We'll see if they want to wait for that Matrix to come out. There it is. Transcendence is going to come through. Self-destruct launch right on top of their heads. You're going to need to remove the shield, but perfect shield slam from Jolf. Doesn't seem to matter though, as Hot Date does find 2 kills. Ultimate Weapon, Hypno are going to go down. Big retreat from Bermuda, making sure they can get out alive and just save that Zarya ult charge as well as the point flipped over to Square One.
There was a good attempt there from Ultimate Wep to block out Jolf's charge that would have removed the shield of Hypnot. He did manage to get a shield bash, so the mutual stun came through, but a good boop at the end from Angelic managed to secure those kills, putting everyone in the blast radius. Angelic trying for cheeky boops again. Won't get anyone off this time. Got to make sure he doesn't fall off. Guru tried to make that happen, but he's going to survive and rejoin his team as they go in for another brawl.
Big rally from Square One. The Graviton Surge coming through from Bermuda. Self-destruct not available as Guru jumps on the rest of the heads of Square One. A Shadow does hit the floor. Jolf actually died with his also, and Hot gets demeched as well. 31% is all that's been acquired by Square One. Bermuda now just on the point. All 6 members are going to be able to cap as soon as the Lucius killed off.
Really interesting tactic there with Carter's Graviton Surge. Actually put it on the central pillar, and that meant that Jolf was stuck to an edge where Ultraviolet's Transcendence didn't have so much line of sight, which meant that as Hypnot pinned him a little deeper around that side, they didn't have line of sight to deliver the healing, and it meant that they could pick off Jolf through the healing and basically make sure that ult was wasted.
Intelligent boot, but right into the clutches of Jolf's Shadow. There will be a beat coming through from both sides, and a Graviton as well. That Transcendence was used by Pizza Demon fairly early, so no real protection. Not like they need it as they actually trade 1-for-1 as Jolf ends up going down. Ultimate Web will follow him, however, in a 2-for-1 trade. Net gain for Square One at the moment. They've only lost 1 member, and a rally is coming out from them as well. Self-destruct on the point to clear everybody out, but it's OT. Square One are going to need to touch and do just that. Hot Date is going to find the kill. The self-destruct. Guru goes for the reset, and Bermuda have 1 more fight to win before they take Lighthouse.
Indeed, absolute perfection is demanded now of Square One if they want to be taking Lighthouse. They've got to win maybe 2 or 3 fights in a row. And Bermuda, they've almost got that Graviton Surge ready to go. But looking at the economy here, they can afford to take an economy run, make sure Square One use some ultimates to stay in place for another fight, and then come in with far more resources in the next one. But they could obviously be a little bit greedy, try and make it work with just a Graviton, but I don't think that's the right play.
Angelic being a little bit cheeky as well. The Graviton actually hits the back line. 3 people caught in. No self-destruct from Guru to actually plant on top of it, and the Transcendence was there to heal them all up as well. Hypnot ends up going down as the rest of Square One just shoved themselves forward as as Bermuda were focused on their grab. Ultimate Wet falls to a pin, and that will be a reset from Bermuda. Now they're potentially only 1 fight away, and actually a shatter from Jolf right up in their spawn takes 2 people out.
And this is exactly what I warned of. Carter's now going to have to swap over to a Tracer. No chance of getting that Graviton back. Dove's almost got his own Graviton Surge as well. And now Square One, from being in a pretty precarious position, look very nicely in the ability to take this round. What? Big O, though. What? No,
Big
why?
Al, I think he just fed, like, straight off of the map
That's
into the dunk. OG actually goes down, the Transcendence onto the point to make sure that overtime is triggered. A Shatter to make sure no damage is coming onto the Graviton Surge that Bermuda were caught in. A nice charge into Hypnot, and Yolf was actually sent to the ground as well, but kept alive by the rest of his team. He ends up netting 2 kills as the self-destruct clears everybody off the point, and the sound barrier laid down from Square One. OG finally makes it back to the point, but everybody is already dead. Hypnot comes out from spawn, but OT ticks down, and Square One end up securing Lighthouse.
We'll just say there that Big Al was actually baiting them in with the feed. It was all a tactic to be, hey, look, we can go aggressive. We're 6v5. Yeah, but we're ready for you. And Big Al on his way back from spawn, I imagine, managed to get some value by swinging at nothing. However, I'm going to go back to a point I made before, and that's that Carter should not have invested the Graviton Surge when we were looking at Bermuda in a state where they needed to win one fight. You could have played the economy game there, force Square One to use their resources to try and repel your more vanilla attacks, and then you had a far more advantageous situation for the last fight with more ultimates. And because they didn't recognize that win condition and they got very reckless with their usage of the Graviton, that's why they lost that round.
Well, really love that Moira. It looked like Ultraviolet was actually peeking on the Moira. Doesn't really want to make that same mistake again, but Bermuda changing it up, not going for an Orisa. Neither teams are, in fact. There'll be double projectile coming through from Bermuda. OG switches over to the Mercy after speed boosting the rest of the team out of spawn, and we got a Pharah and a Hanzo on board.
Well, with this double projectile, Jolf is not going to be having a huge amount of fun right here. His shields are going to be shredded incredibly quickly, and he's not going to have a huge amount of healing behind him here. It may be triple support, but after Big Al uses that repair pack, it's going to be very hard for Jolf to really face up to these squishy targets.
Ultimate Web's going to control the skies. I mean, they've got more healing now because they got the Moira, but Jolf is going so low already. And look at the control they actually have over the point. As soon as Big Al tried to get to the back line, you have Winston jumping straight on his face, and the Pharah is going to be so safe. A boop onto Hypnot, though, from Angelic actually sends him down the pit. And it's actually man advantage now for Square One. First ultimate might come online fairly soon. His ultimate web is 20% away, but Square One just handily deal with the rest of the team. Ignore the Pharah Mercy, Harry. Just kill everybody else, and then they can't do anything.
Just kill their friends, Forehead. At any rate, I said Jolf was going to be very vulnerable, and he did end up trading his life there, but he did manage to absorb a huge amount of damage and resources from Bermuda. And in the dive, himself and Hot Day managed to take out Carter rather quickly, so that very well-coordinated dive really was what saved Square One in this instance.
Ultima has Barrage. He lays it down straight on the brig, exactly what she deserves. Big Al ends up going down. Jolf going fairly low as well. But with that big trade and Hot Date falling also, although remeching, in fact, the health bar switch a little. I think he did just spawn.
Maybe.
Ultraviolet dies. Hot Date comes back, and just a moment's notice, but he's going to get torn apart by Ultima Web. He's just firing rockets down the straight already. They do have so many ultimates online, 2 support ults and the Dragon Strike available just to a Coalescence of Square One.
Well, the Coalescence could be used as a potent anti-air tool potentially, and it may well zone away both Ultimate Web and OG if he manages to get the right angle here and potentially allow some other members of Bermuda to be much more vulnerable, like Carter and like Pizza Demon. You can force out a trance early here with an effective dive, maybe.
Maybe that rally is going to make them pretty hard to dive on the side of Square One, though, and a little bit more hardy in the face of those rockets as well. OG activating that Valkyrie fairly early, giving damage boost and a lot of healing to that Primal Rage, well, against the Primal Rage and Winston in the back line. Carter's doing a good job of farming his body. There's the Transcendence actually forced out on Pizza Demon, but a Dragons is going to come through to split the rest of the team up. They're all trapped in the mini health pack room as a beat comes through from Square One. Self-destruct up in the air. OG manages to stay alive, but he's actually falling off the edge. Only just managing to find Ultima Web, but that just gave Square One enough time to surround the rest of Bermuda and just pick them off one by one.
Some great usage of map geometry there from Ultimate Weapon OG to try and avoid the self-destruct, but it was just such an effective Graviton from Dove. He knew that if he could catch enough people in there and combine it with Hot Date self-destruct, there wouldn't be enough sustain on the point for Bermuda to stay in control. It's the same thing we saw in the first fight, George. Just kill the rest of the team. If the Pharmacy can't kill you all by the time you've killed the rest of their team, then they can't really stay low on the point and keep it contested.
Well, they got a Barrage again. Is she going to go for Big Al? That's the question. They are using that amp up once more to actually generate a lot of speed towards Carter. most of that actually gets eaten up as well, as Hot Date used that as defense matrix from the safety of the corner. So 1-0 trade now, Bermuda losing one member. Carter is going to spawn back as the McCree as he tries to get back to the point ASAP. 82% now on board for square one though.
Huge value here from the Moira, and it feels like Hypnot and Guru aren't taking advantage of when Ultraviolet uses his Fade to try and catch up with Jolf and apply that healing. You've got to be looking out for that Moira defensive cooldown, because that's when they're most vulnerable. You can see Ultimate Web right now, right on top of Jolf. He's trying to get that barrage again as soon as possible. He's got another one to go, but Guru caught in the Graviton.
They have to do something. Ultimate Web dives down straight on top of Dove, lays the barrage on top of his head. Ultraviolet's going to go down as well as Pizza Demon finds a kid on Angelic. They managed to touch the point just in time as OG actually used the Valkyrie to actually touch and make sure OT was contested. Ultimate Web goes down in the end, but gets resurrected also. Joel's just buying a little bit more time. Hot Date as well on the Baby Diva's going to go for a quick reset. Tried to jump in the well, but a rocket to the face ended his life, and Bermuda finally get a recap.
I like Carter's up to the McCree here. He's punishing the dives very well. Remember, we are on life patch, so basically that Family Hammer, it does a lot of damage to yours. I think it does about 330 damage.
Well,
55
damage
times 6. I don't know. Maths is hard.
Damage
But anyway,
well
that's
equals
a
one
lot
dead
to
tank.
it does indeed. A lot of damage for Jov to worry about, and here's the Deadeye.
Deadeye right in the center of the point to make sure no one can actually contest for the time. 75% now available from Bermuda. There's the beat from Angelic to push them forward. Ultimately taken extremely low. He's still got the back off his Mercy, however, and 5% away from that barrage also. Both supports now clouding in that corner. Ultimate Web unleashes the barrage, takes out Ultraviolet. A bubble tried to stop all that damage going through, but it doesn't actually end Ultimate Web's life either. Now it's only 10% away from Bermuda taking this map as OG activates the Valkyrie.
And this is exactly what we wanted to see. The second you see Ultraviolet use that Fade, you bring down the fire on him. Ultimate Web with a barrage. Look, he's already about 65% towards another one. If he keeps hitting these rockets, he can seal the deal with yet another barrage. And Carter's almost got the Deadeye too.
Coalescence is matching that Transcendence coming through from Bermuda. Another Deadeye onto that point, clearing everybody out, but Hypnot's already dead. As Self-Destruct in the back line doesn't manage to connect with anybody just yet, as they still contest, but no one's taking a look at Ultimate Web. There will be Angelic falling. Jolf's going to follow him as well. And Dove is so high charged, just needs to find a kill in the back line. But Ultimate Web's third barrage of the fight will and should seal the deal. A last-minute grab from Square One's not going to be enough. And Bermuda secure well.
Some great prioritization there, and Ultimate Web really, again, opened it up by hitting a couple of directs onto Angelic, making sure that the speed boost was missing. And when you don't have the speed boost with this dive-centric composition and you can't amp the speed or amp the healing, it means that when you're diving on someone, you're having to invest basically all of your movement cooldowns. If you've got the Lucio, who has an amp available, you can make an engagement using the speed boost without having to invest in movement cooldowns. So that means you can disengage when you need to, and disengagements are so important when you're worrying about that barrage from a Pharah. And you know, the second you see the movement cooldowns used and there's no Lucio, that's when you've got them exactly where you want them for that barrage.
Now hold up. Square One are on ruins, and they're still running 3-3, Harry. And we know Bermuda literally just played, and now they're playing Widowmaker as well. It's going to be pretty hard for them, Widowmaker, to find picks, unless obviously Ultraviolet can pay her a little bit of a 1-2, throwing out the orbs left and right. But the issue is there as well. There's going to be so much space gained by Square One. They're going to be able to push on the point as a team, and it's going to be out the war of attrition for Bermuda, just poking down that front line.
Ultimate Web here may need to make Jolf turn his shield around, come in from a different angle of Carter, and create those crossfires. But for now, they're both concentrating their fire from the same angle. Guru's got the Bunny Blaster as well, which doesn't suffer from damage fall-off, so it can do a bit of damage, but looks like Square One saw their opportunity to break free and make the aggressive play.
Well, Jolf ends up going down to Ultimate Web, but the point was captured by Square One. They pushed themselves onto the point, just planted themselves there, and even Carter went down fairly early to a Flame Strike, forced the res out of OG.
Ultraviolet here is the only one not suffering from damage fall-off. We'll need to try and use that to take out Ultimate Web, but he's lost his shield. Ooh, Big Al.
How does a Brick go down to a Widowmaker 2 times in a row to a headshot? I just do not know. A Transcendence from Ultraviolet to make sure the team stays alive on the point, and they still have that beat available. But look at the ultimates being used from Bermuda here. Primal Rage have got the wings and the Infocytes also. Ultimate Web ready to lay down that barrage. As Self-Destruct launched up in the air actually catches Ultimate Web off guard. His body is now in no man's land. There's no hope for a res now.
And it's so hard here for Bermuda, despite all the picks they're getting to contest a point. And eating Graviton Surge, good job from Guru, reading Dove like a book, and he's going to try and make the counter-attack with a Self-Destruct.
Self-destruct's big, a boop onto Big Al, almost sealed the deal, but he ends up staying alive. Still Bermuda, unable to actually touch the point. Square One are going to continue to hold, and Ultraviolet even finding the kill on Carter. A Rocket Barrage finally coming out as well from Ultimate Web, but they end up trading also.
Square One are still losing this fight, but it's the same thing, Jaws. Bermuda still haven't captured a point. They just don't have the presence to keep themselves here. Jov's come back into the fray. He does have himself a Discord, but he's got 1,000 HP and percentage is still growing.
All right, okay. Maybe I mocked them a little bit for not changing off the 3-3, but Bermuda can't seem to make any kills stick. Ultimate Web used the Rocket Barrage. They got a trade in the end, but it was all for nothing as Jolf ended up killing the Mercy anyway with just a melee. 10% away now. Bermuda going to have to touch.
I don't know, man. This many kills and no cap. Is just Assault we're playing right now, or is it Control? Carter's going to get the full dive onto him, and there's not enough healing to sustain him.
I was going to say quick play, 99%, and OT will be triggered by Kubru as he does manage to touch the point in the end. Beautiful positioning for Ultraviolet there. Okay, rips himself round the pillar to make sure he doesn't get booped off by the Primal Rage. And Self-Destruct will end Carter's life in the end. And Dove building up to another Graviton Surge. He's only 10% away in Bermuda. They're clutching at straws. OG is still alive with the Monkey on the point, but they're not going to last long. He ends up going down in the end. It's only the Winston to take out, the Grab to seal the deal, and Square One will take Elios.
Dove leveraging the hit scan abilities of that left click beam to be the primary damage that gets applied to Ultimate Web and OG in the sky. He's just got to get himself a little bit higher, which is why you continuously saw him ducking out of that central pit onto higher ground so that there was the potential for the end of his beam to be tickling the fire up in the air.
Oh, I'm happy it's not a Moira play of the game. Nice flash. Well, he missed half that fan the hammer. I mean, that was a good couple of kills. Oh, he gets headshot and Dove too. I was like, is that it, really? He rolled and fanned the hammer.
Is that it? Well, he got a card as well. 26% of his team's hero damage as Xayah, but of course he did abandon the Xayah for those last 2 rounds, playing more on the long range DPS like the Hanzo, like for McCree, and of course for Widowmaker. And it's good to be able to leverage those hit scan DPS, but it seemed like on Ruins in particular that the recessed nature of the point and that it was a pit meant that they could very easily try and line of sight these long-range DPS and force Bermuda to try and come onto a point where they didn't really have the sticking power to make that work.
How do you die as a Brig twice to a Widow and
Just
then
don't peek well.
not cap the point? That's the biggest question for Bermuda. They got 2 picks of the Widowmaker. The Widowmaker screaming, I've got a pick, I killed Brig, they only have 2 healers left, let's go. And then the rest of the team just loses out. And like even dying to a flame strike as well from the Ryan at the very start, and then having the res forced on you too. Oh, that's a head scratcher right there. Square One, they're up. Hey Matt, however, 3-3 working out for them. Bermuda not quite finding the counter just yet.
Now Bermuda are going to have to scratch their own heads and figure out whether they want to go for our next map. I do believe it will be Hybrid next. And I imagine a map like Numbani would be very good for leveraging those hit scan DPS, but we are in fact going to go to King's Row. They're honouring their casters, Jaws. We're going home.
We went home yesterday and we're going home. We're still at home, Harry.
We remain at home.
That's the end of the story. Yeah. And by the way, the cat is fast asleep. It's actually a different cat. It looks the same, but it's actually a different cat. One. You just can't see it. He's just got his head too far tucked into the blanket, unfortunately. So no casting from him. Apologies. King's Row will be in the map, like you said. Square One. What are they going to run, Harry? It's going to be a flip of the coin, but I think that coin is going to land on 3-3 every time.
Yeah, Square One, we talked about the same thing with Triumph yesterday. They don't need to swap off the 3-3 until you force them to. And it seems like Bermuda did try and apply that pressure to them, but the pressure was only onto the heroes and not onto the objectives. So they're like, okay, we're sort of losing this compositional matchup, but they aren't winning the game. they were playing team deathmatch instead.
Yeah, we're getting kills. Okay, we're up 48 to 49 in kills, but we're also 0% versus 99% in OT. I guess we've lost. We're on game mode, I think. Someone needs to change it. Maybe there'll be a team deathmatch mode in Trials. Hopefully not. It would be pretty boring. Now, I thought about it. I was like, maybe that'd be pretty cool. No, it won't. It won't be cool at all. It will be like going back to no limits heroes. That would be a bit of a thinker, to be honest. Especially in this meta. Imagine having 2 Moiras on your team.
Oh, no.
Infinite healing, right? And then coalescence every couple of seconds as well. And then double coalescence also.
To be fair, you may be able to take out the double Moiras with, like... Can they fade out of Graviton? I forget. Like, I think they can.
Yes, you
Reaper
can.
and Moira can escape Graviton.
For some reason. I caught you in grav. Stay in the grav.
No.
No, no. Get out.
No, Moira 2019.
Well, Assault is going to be the game, the game mode of choice. And the map is obviously King's Row. They have switched sides, by the way. So we are seeing Square One on the blue. And we are seeing Bermuda on the red.
Oh, yeah, I'll have to swap. My own indications. Since we're in-game observing ourselves, we're making our own little overlays here. Beautiful. And let's have a quick look at the compositions that are being proffered on the defense. Does look like Square One are going to be bringing out that through 3 again, just like we said, Jules. They haven't been forced off it yet, and they know that Bermuda may well be able to potentially outcomp them, but until they outplay them in terms of the objective, there's no reason to really have to flex to try and deal with what's being proffered by Bermuda. Meanwhile, I like to see Carter hanging out on this McCree. His new anti-tank capabilities with a recent 10 damage buff per bullet on Fan the Hammer makes him incredibly dangerous to, well, Brigitte especially is one of the main people who will have to worry about that because it's far easier to flashbang around their shield. That's an interesting teleporter right there.
Only Ultimate Web took the teleport, though.
And then shield bashed into Jol's shield.
And then they were like, oh, maybe we shouldn't run the sim. Maybe they messed up the teleport. I'm not entirely sure. Catching them off guard. Maybe they wanted to make them blow a cooldown. Not entirely sure what that was about.
Gonna go for a quick rotation. Has been given the Discord Orb, and he's trying his best to make sure his shield isn't taking too much damage. So he's got a significant advantage over Joel for the moment. He's gonna have to go aggressive to make up for this.
Ultimate Web goes down. Dub's gonna find the first kill of the map. Jolf actually trades his own life, as Hypnot also falls. Remember, spawn advantage here as well for Bermuda, so that if they quickly go for a re-engage, they know that Jolf is not actually going to be there.
Yeah, and one of the things I've noticed about Square One, especially in their Open Division games, is that they're very good at punishing aggressive Brigittes. I saw this a lot against Hope, one of the Brigittes they played against in Open Division, very good at making sure that when he got a little bit too frisky, they did put him down very quickly, and the exact same thing happened to Ultimate Web there.
Well, now they do reconvene. So it's going to be a 6-on-6. Reinhardt pretty quick to get back to the point, funnily enough, with the charge, but still the time was of essence. Big Al getting whip-shotted back into his own team as he sends off the rally as well. There'll be a Graviton Surge straight away with Peter Demon actually using the Transcendence to make sure they stay alive during the assault on the Graviton Surge, but Ultraviolet doing the same thing to keep his team alive. A Shadow will hit 2 people on the ground as Peter Demon and Guru take a seat. Ultimate Web and Jolf will end up trading as a Graviton Surge and a Self-Destruct land on top of each other. Carter just manages to protect his Lucio as he did dip behind him. It's going to be a lot of tank ults traded out, but more of attrition here from Bermuda. So quick are they on the spawns. Jolf is going to be able to get back in the action, but the rest of Bermuda are going to come back more quickly.
Oh, attempt at a rally to save Guru. Is going to have to use the self-destruct to get his mech back, and now it's a quick disengage from Square One. Jolf has returned to the fight, so they can try and stabilize here, Jules. Bermuda almost have the Graviton Surge to use again.
Yeah, they do. There will be a rally going off as well. Maybe they wait a couple of seconds for that to kind of fade. The Graviton Surge gets done straight in, but another eat and grab. Hot date.
Stage of King's Row.
Yes, yes. Carter also had a grab, by the way. At the end of that fight, however, he did just use it to kill off Jolf. And you can see how far they are actually holding up now. One person on the payload, I believe it is. Yeah, of course it is. Zenyatta's AFK. I actually almost got an AFK timer once by just sitting on the payload for too long.
Crabs and Zenyatta's AFK crab.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, what else am I going to do when the team is pushing to second? They did manage to push all that way, and you can see how far the car's actually got just on this first Streets phase. Good shatter into the shield. Jolf's standing high and mighty at the moment. He's almost got his own shatter as well. Doesn't really seem to need it, though, as Ultimate Web ends up falling first to the hammer swing. There'll be Ultraviolet using that Transcendence after that beat had been worn off by Bermuda, and you can see them now using that to their advantage, killing off Carter, and a shield bash onto Hypnot as well to secure the kill onto him. 1 minute and 20 seconds remain now, Harry, and Square One with a luxury in the ultimate bank.
Good reaction there from Big Al to get the charge, the shield bash onto Hypnot while he was charging, get that mutual stun down. He didn't actually even get stunned because Dove actually gave him a particle barrier from Rosaya, meaning that he wasn't afflicted with a stun, and Hypnot basically didn't get any value from that charge apart from a more quick death. Doesn't look like they're going to be going for a rotation through high ground, try and cut Square One off from anyone who may be behind. You can see Ultraviolet is going to make his own rotation now, trying to make sure that he isn't bisected from his team.
Hope not. Well, there's the grab. Here's 3 people. Transcendence as well. Self-destruct on top. Can they get the pin? It's not needed. Hot date with the 2-piece. Even kills Guru's mech and the melee to finish off Ultimate Web as well. Hot Day continues to just rain havoc with self-destructs. However, 2 ultimates being used there does net Bermuda in a good position where they've got their own grab to use.
Big L's actually starting to catch my attention today. These shield bashes are on point, managing to get shield bash there onto Hypnot to make sure that blast went through, because Jolf was trying to get the charge through onto Hypnot to remove the shield, but actually hit the cart instead. So he wasn't able to get that. They had to fall back onto their backup plan, which was Big Al, who can get around behind the shield because Hypnot's forced to put it towards the self-destruct. And now, with only 5 seconds remaining, this is going to be a tough ask for Bermuda. They've got the tools they need to do 1 fight, but maybe not 2, Jaws, and we're going to have to do that in overtime as well, potentially.
Ultraviolet is so close to a Transcendence as well. The Shadow is going to hit the 4 as well as that self-destruct thrown in on top of the grab. It's going to get all blocked up, and Dove now 100% energy, and Jolf just refusing to hold right click and gets punished for it. Carter with the Plasma Mortar on his face, and the Graviton Surge thrown out by Square One as well. A beat on top of that to make sure Bermuda don't go down in the engagement. They still have that Transcendence as well to rely on if needed. Looks like they're not going to, though. They're going to be able to take it through the rest of the Streets phase. Ultraviolet ends up going down last, and Dove just resetting himself.
Well, they do have a Transcendence, but everything else was used there. Jaws, Guru almost has a self-destruct as well. He's been building up to that rather fast. Hot Date will have one to go as well. So we're going to have to see if Transcendence will be enough to stand up to the 3 upcoming tank ultimates Square One are going to be able to have. They'll have a safe engagement as well. Big Al's going to move everyone forward with this rally. But the supports are so far behind Jaws.
Uh-oh. There's the Transcendence. Dove's only 20% away from a grab, though, but they're only 2 meters from capping the point. 2 self-destructs thrown in. Only 1 kill has been found. It's going to be a Hot Date who didn't get the remake in time. Ultraviolet's going to find his like-for-like in Pizza Demon, but the kills are going the way of Bermuda. Dove is still holding on firm, though, with his own Graviton. Doesn't want to use it just yet, as he knows there's still another fight to be had. Guru finishes off the last members of Square One as they end up capping the 2nd point.
So that was super smart from Guru. He saw Jolf, he saw Dove, and he saw Big Al moving forward with those shields and with that rally. But he knew that where are the other 3? Hot Date, Angelic, and Ultraviolet aren't here, and that means they're also away from the shields. That means I can definitely get a huge amount of value out of a deep throw of the self-destruct. So he yeets it into the back, and he manages to catch out some of Square One, and that's the opening picks for the required, and then all the comms fall apart, and Bermuda can brawl it out. They get another minute and 30 on the time bank, and Ultimate Web's going to now move everyone forward once again with the rally.
I was hoping we left Yi back in 2017. What a shatter coming through from Yolf. He actually knocks Guru off the edge as he was using thrusters. A Graviton Surge is thrown in by Dub, but it gets completely negated by the healing coming through from Ultimate Web and the Lucio. He lays down the beat as well after the grab to make sure they can survive the oncoming onslaught. Another grab's thrown out, this time on the side of Bermuda, as Big Al takes and claims 2 people. But with your main tank now down, they're going to have to scurry back to their spawn. 30 seconds remain now, Harry, as Square One are able to regroup.
Not a fan of that Graviton. Not only was there not enough follow-up there, but also Angelica just invested the sound barrier. If you could have waited a couple of more seconds or waited until you had the follow-up there, you wouldn't have had to deal with the overshield and Ultraviolet.
How could die like that? Pizza Demon goes down to Ultraviolet right-click. Carter's going to fall as well. Only 6 seconds now remain. OG isn't going to be there long enough to actually trigger the overtime. However, is going to finally get contested by Guru, who lobs out the self-destruct. That's going to have to be rather big, but an instant Slil Sham on the Hypnot to make sure he can't find anything. That's what I call a zoning Graviton Surge, as they're all stuck in place. A shatter from Joel tried to end it all, but another self-destruct in the back line might just do so. Pizza Demon goes down yet again, and it is all Hypnot now, trying to just stall for as long as he can on the point. It's not going to be needed, though. So Guru is just spinning right round, baby, right round, trying to make sure no one touches.
Spinning to win. He isn't dead yet. He does have a Discord on him, and Hot Day's going to try and make it work. The remainder of his team have fallen around him, Jaws. And I keep highlighting Big Al because, again, the second the Hypnot made the charge, the stun was there.
Guru tried to bash everybody off the point, trying to bash people down the hole, but it wasn't good enough. Hot Day with the spawn picks up the triple go at the end to seal the deal. It's pretty scary if you're Bermuda. That's 2 points being captured, and they didn't even make it halfway to 3rd, or about halfway, I think. About 34 meters or so. Clear win condition now for Square One. They just need to cap 2 points. There will be no additional rounds necessary if they do manage to almost make it to 3rd.
Still, you got to think after that, let's call it testing point 1 from Bermuda's attack, that they're going to be pretty happy to have got the 2.5 points that they did when it could have looked easily like they were going to be full held there at the beginning of King's Row. Only clutching out in overtime managed to net them that point, and the same thing happened on point B as well. Had to push most of it in overtime.
2 points all they need, Harry. Is it going to be 3-3 again? Most probably. Or potentially not. We need to offer something a little bit different. Orisa with double long range hit scan and a projectile in Hanzo and Carter on the Ashe. Something a bit different. Plus, they have the mercy of the damage boost as well. They want to hold the high ground and make sure they can't budge. However, Square One, if you just use the amp on the Lucio and the speed boost, Hypnot is going to be in a very, very sore spot.
Well, we saw a similar competition to this Volskaya Industries yesterday, and we saw Piba Mitsu from Triumph get a huge amount of value out of the Brigitte, the Ashe, and their Dynamite. Words just fail me today, Jaws. At any rate, I'm excited to see the Ashe. We know Carter is a very good hit scan talent, and Ultimate Weapon is also incredibly dangerous on these projectiles. Bermuda are definitely commanding a huge amount of the DPS talent that is in Trials, but the question is, can they leverage it against the clinical 3-3 that Square One are showing?
I just want to see how quickly he builds up towards ball. With that damage boost too. If you landed Dynamite on a couple of people, that's just so much damage. And ult charge, you're going to get a bomb almost every single fight if they're not careful. Square One, just running that Zenyatta 3-3. Bit of dive though, no Reinhardt, only the Winston to get up on that high ground. Orisa's just going to use that holding fast, making sure no one can actually get up and contest it.
Well, they've got to move on to a point at some point as well. Guru's going to be down there to contest, but there's going to be a little bit of damage for doing so. Hypnot's in trouble, but I'm actually a fan of Hypnot's Orisa. I think it's one of his better heroes as well. It's one of those tanks that you really can trust on any of the incoming.
Ooh, beautiful coach gun, Harry. Carter actually had the Winston jumping at his fate. Coach gunned him away so he couldn't land. The Dynamite was going off as well, and that would be a quick Storm Arrow to get the kill. Carter does end up falling, but Bob's actually going to do the majority of work for him, killing off Ultraviolet. OG activates the Valkyrie as well to make sure they're just firmly planted on the point. Hot Date's mech gets killed as well as Hot Date as well. Square One going for the full reset after Bob just pops off.
That's one of the few times I've seen a direct Bob hit. Like, where you aim Bob at an enemy hero, because Bob actually stopped in the middle of the road there from having hit Ultraviolet, and it meant for Ultraviolet and Hot Date, who went in for basically a Zenyatta Diva dive on Carter, did manage to claim that life, but were then completely zoned out by the Bob. Goody on the Dynamite there from Hot Date will deny a lot of ult charge from Carter, and now there's huge presence on the point for Square One.
They got 10% away from that supercharger, though. That's pretty damn scary. Dragons get unleashed on the point, but Dove's going to soak up most of that and turn it into energy. Piece of Demon's going to go down, but get instantly res. But meanwhile, though, no healing was going on to Hypnot, so he ends up falling with the supercharger available. 2 points, and the third tick has been capped. Ultimate Whip ends up going down to the Primal Rage. In fact, Jolf just going a little bit ham, finds a 2k, and that'll be Square One, finally capping with an impressive time bank, 4 minutes and 30 seconds.
And I'm never going to shut up about Ilios Runes, Jaws. It's the same thing again. Except it's not Bermuda ignoring the objective. This is just Square One playing to win. They're not playing to get these kills. They're not playing for flashy things. They just want to grab that objective so they can move forward this car. And they made sure that Bermuda could not touch because he just had so much presence here. And now Bermuda, they're forced to completely swap up. They're going to be behind on Graviton Surge Charge because Carter just had to swap from the Ashe onto the Zarya. Dove's got his ready to go. So to try and even the odds here, it needs to be down to Guru to eat that Graviton.
They gotta eat it, man. They gotta eat it. Hot Date's been the main one to eat grab so far, though, in the series, and yesterday too. There it is. There's the grab. There's the bomb. Transcendence comes in to stop the healing, but a 2k for Hot Date. We call that a Giganti bomb over in EU. It might as well be called a Square One bomb in NA. That will be a Square bomb, yeah. Oh my, this will be the second cap for Square One, and look at the time bank as well. They just not stopped moving as soon as they unlocked the card.
And they've got 3 people on the cart here. They're trying to race for bank and maybe see if Hypnot can't reach before this tick will come over, and they will actually claim it. This means that the spawn has now moved up, and they can maybe play a trade game for attrition here, because where the Golden Square of Victory is, it's about equidistant from these 2 different spawns.
That it is. 2 support ultimates are available for Square One. They use the beat for the engage, forcing everybody back. Dolph's actually earned himself a shatter in the meantime as well. An ultimate weapon hits the floor. The rally comes through as well to make them even more hardy as they move forward. A self-destruct in the back line might net something, but Jolf just instantly jumps on the cart to shield the rest of his team. Ultimate Web using that Transcendence after all the armor has been worn off as they do surge on forwards. OG gets booped almost into the hole, but manages to land the sound barrier, not before the rest of his team end up going down. Square One end up getting to the golden box of victory and net themselves a 2-0 in the series.
And booping those Lucios as they go for the Sandbar is a highly underrated play. You can actually extend the cast time. The shield doesn't come out until you hit the ground. And even though OG, of course, didn't go down the hole, like maybe they were hoping he would have done so, being able to delay the usage of that Sambo did ensure that they could get a kill onto the mech of Guru. So that was incredibly smart play there coming out from Angelic, who's basically been an all-star Lucio over the course of Trials.
And we got to see the Winston player of the game, the Winston pop-off. That is the most frustrating thing in the world, to be fair, when you're a Zen in that situation. You have no mobility anyway.
What
you
do
hope
I
you
do?
can hit a couple of headshots. If you're being healed, though, to be fair, by an Ana or a Mercy or something, or even a Moira, it does feel pretty good because you just get so much ult charge. But
Well, the thing is, it's really hard to get healed by an Ana in that situation if you're running the double flex support, because the Winston model is so big in Primarichi will body block most of the heals that are coming your way.
Just aim better.
Just get it like through his armpit. There we go.
Yeah.
Sliding in a dart.
But what now? 2-0 up in the series. That's match point as well. It will be Bermuda's choice of map also. It does allow we're actually going on to Voskaya.
Oh,
Okay,
Voskaya.
this is something we saw